Vickers has had a tough season, but a couple of top 5 finishes. Carl Edwards up to 3rd. Talk about a late rally.
Yeah, another caution flag, and Carl Edwards is going to be the man to beat, I think, to win this thing. He might still catch those top 2. He's got 25 laps.
Let's talk about those top 2 for a minute. Jimmie Johnson has not closed back in on Kurt Busch.
They're really going just about the same speed. We've been watching lap times. It looks like those top 2 are about the second best cars. Looks like Carl Edwards has the fastest. We'll watch speeds at the line and see who is the quickest.
Right there. Thing I'm seeing with the 48 of Jimmie Johnson, when he was fast and leading this race, he was right on the bottom of the racetrack. These 2 tires have changed the handle in his car. He's up a good half groove, if not a little more than that, in the center of the corner.
Now, Carl is a little quicker than these top 2, but he's not that much quicker. He's got 24 laps. He might get there.
He's knocking some ground off. Got a long way to
he
go.
knocked a couple of tenths off that lap.
Well, some storylines on the day that have been answered. Kurt Busch making adjustments to keep up with the track as the day went on, and going from being the most consistent driver in the second half of the season, knocking off just top 10 after top 10, but usually between 5th and 10th, to running up front and contending to win this race. And Jimmie Johnson saying he needed a top 3 in position to get that done right now. 11th place changing hands there. Jeff Burton, solid drive, looking for what would be incredibly just his 2nd top 10 finish of the year if he could pass one more.
This is his best run of the day, and that's the time to have it in the last segment.
And disappointment for Jeff Gordon, sitting back there in 13th place in the final laps. Not the day the 4-time champ expected to have here at the Monster Mile.
Now, watching Jimmie Johnson also starting to close back in on Kurt Busch a little bit. It's like what we've seen in the past is the 22 to kind of start to struggle a little bit as he gets more laps on his tires.
Boy, this championship is really going to close up today if these last laps run out like they stand right now. Casey Kane, Kyle Busch for 4th and 5th. Carl Edwards busted for speeding. Exiting pit road on a green flag stop at lap 246. Knocked him back to 25th at the time. Now he's running 3rd, trying to close. Look at that. Johnson hanging it out. Edwards hanging it out. We're going to have Atlanta flashbacks here. These guys sliding all over the place in the final laps.
Jimmy's really struggling with this rubber buildup right now. You can see Johnson get in that rubber buildup. His car really wiggling right there.
Looks like Carl just power slid through the corner there that last lap. They're giving it all they've got. It probably takes a little discipline when you've got these guys in sight like that to not overdrive the car.
Yeah, it is that, and Jimmy's really struggling with his car in the center of the corner where he was keeping it below that rubber buildup. He can't keep it that and carrying his speed. See Carl Edwards closing in for 2nd.
Clint Boyer, A.J. Allmendinger racing for 7th place, 33 and 43. Nice drive today for both. Allmendinger sent for a big slide after contact with Denny Hamlin way back on the 5th lap of the race. It sent him back to 43rd in the field at the time.
Yeah, Boyer hasn't been spectacular, but through the second half of the race, he's been more solid for him.
A lot's been made of the radio conversations between Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus during last week's New Hampshire race. Steve Addington, crew chief for Kurt Busch on the left. There are some tense radio conversations as well as his driver has struggled to manage expectations and the reality of them working through the handling in the late laps of these races. Yet they came here to Dover this week. Kurt said, I've been a champ before, we can do this. Now they're 2 laps away from going to victory lane.
They're proving they can do it. They adjusted this car when it wasn't so good in the middle of the race, turned it around, and now looks like he's going to get this victory. 1 to go.
1 more mile, Busch.
The only driver in the top 10 in the championship standings all season long. That man, Kurt Busch. Just the 1 win on the road course at Sonoma. but steady, solid. After finishing 22nd in New Hampshire a week ago to lose ground in the championship, they're going to gain it all back with a win on the Monster Mile today. Kurt Busch wins at Dover.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Look at the rest of the lead lap finishers, but it is Kurt Busch getting the jump on Jimmy Johnson on a late restart, hanging on through another restart and pulling away to score the victory, his second of this season. And the win going to pull Kurt Busch up to 4th in the championship standings, only 9 points off the leader, Kevin Harvick.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Alan. It was that restart when he was able to stay side by side with Jimmy Johnson down into 1 and then powered to the lead off of turn 2. That was the key winning moment.
And the winning crew chief is with Vince Welch.
And he just got a thumbs up from his cohort at Penske Racing, Paul Wolf, just giving congratulations to Steve Addington. Steve, you told me before the race, we've got to control what we can control. How much did you have to work on this race car to get it to victory lane today?
We worked with it. Had to put a good bit of wedge in it, work with tire pressures, and finally found a direction there with the tire pressures and stuff, and it came to life, man. Awesome job by everybody on this Penske Racing Dodge. Shell Pennzoil, I want to thank them. AAA Lennox. I want to thank everybody back at the shop. They busted their butts. We finally got us another win with this 22 car.
Total team effort.
Yeah, we've got 9 drivers solidly in the chase here. Battle for this championship within 19 points. Gonna be fun.
On to Kansas with that as the picture. And we head down to Napa Victory Circle, where Kurt Busch is about to celebrate a win at Dover.
You know, it feels good for Kurt Busch to celebrate here in victory lane today after that 22nd place finish last week at New Hampshire. Had a lot of people questioning whether this team was going to be strong enough, and we talked before the race, Kurt, about how important it would be to have a bounce back race for you this week after New Hampshire. What's this say about this 22 team?
Well, it's just a perfect execution today with pit stops, with making the car better during the race. That's been some of our struggles when the track rubber's in. We're not exactly where we need to be, but it's an awesome day for Shell, for Pennzoil, for Dodge. I mean, I can't be happier right now. And to win a Sprint Cup race in the chase, this is what it's all about. That's the feeling of the playoffs in this team. We had everything go wrong last week. We had everything go right this week. We just need nice, smooth races from here.
Feel like you're a championship contender?
I feel like we're right in the mix. I mean, you just got to cover up those bad days. You know what I mean? Like Tony Stewart probably struggled today. He's going to be dropping back. You know, you just can't drop out of just running consistent for those top 10s. But right now, this team, I just got to thank all of our sponsors. And, of course, the Shell Saver card, 22 cents a gallon off on Wednesday with this bad boy. So make sure you get this card. But thanks to Sprint, thanks to all of the sponsors at Penske Racing, Dodge. I mean, it's unbelievable. With Coca-Cola, AAA, Lennox, Discount Tire, Snap-on Tools. Just got to thank all these guys. And my sunglass guys, even though it's a cloudy day, tag warriors. So thanks a lot, guys.
Kurt Busch taking care of business today, up to 4th in the point standings now, Doc.
Now, this is the Jimmy Johnson we're accustomed to seeing. For the 6th consecutive race, you led the most laps, Jimmy. It looked like you had him covered most of the day until that final run when the 22 got by. What were you battling?
Really, I just got a poor restart when I was the leader, and then the last restart, I didn't get a good one again, and couldn't race him through turns 1 and 2. So the cars were very equal. We saw that the run just before that final run there, and I could get a gap on him through traffic after 30-40 laps, but for the first 30, you know, he was awfully quick, and I had my hands full there, and I just didn't get a good restart and cost myself a win.
What does this kind of run today do for you and this team in terms of the overall chase and the championship?
Well, it gets us right back in the thick of things, and I think a lot of people overreacted last week about an 18th place finish, where we probably should have finished about 10th or 8th, but the contact late damaged the car and we slid back. But this is a great race team, and we proved it today. We proved it at Chicago, but we ran out of gas and didn't finish where we were supposed to. And it's the same team that's won 5 championships in the past. And it's a team I'm very proud of and a very big part of, and I look forward to what this Lowe's team is going to do in the future.
Hey, well done, bud.
Thank you.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
A 3rd place finish for Carl Edwards and a tie at the top of the championship, but one mistake on pit road today. Carl, did that cost you the race?
You guys notice that? You saw that?
That was big. Everyone saw, unfortunately, yeah. And you were kicking yourself after the race, I know.
That was really, really, really dumb. And fortunately, we had a lucky caution there, and I got the lap back, but that was bad. So my guys did a really good job. I got to thank Aflac, Ford, Scott, Subway, Kellogg's, Sprint, and all the fans for sticking around out here at this inclement weather. But man, we had the car that could win. It's completely my fault that I didn't have a chance to run up there. But the coolest thing was after the race, my guys, they said they're behind me 100%. We're going to move on and go to Kansas. And at the end of the day, we did make up some ground. But it's
talk about that charging at the end, though, too.
Well, yeah, it was that was as hard as I can drive. That's it. So it's fun, but man, I just it's hard to get over that in the car when you make a mistake like that. That's so bad for the day and so bad for everybody that's put so much effort in. But it was really cool. My guys are behind me, so excited to go take this Aflac Fusion to Kansas and hopefully put on a good show there.
Yep, they all came by, patted him on the back, and said we'll get him next week. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon, gosh, what a day. Started 34th, Jeff, and you ended up 12th. I know you're not that happy with it, but what's up with those restarts? I think that was probably the culprit today.
Yeah, that's been a struggle for us here at this track this year. Just super, it's like there's no air in the front tires for the first 8 laps, and so we just don't have any speed to take off. And then once we get going there, then we got a great race car, you know. So it started off good, and we worked our way forward pretty quick from that 34th position, which we were hoping to do. But you know, once we got up there, I mean, I made some mistakes today, and we just didn't have it on the restarts. But other than that, you know, we've had a great fight from this race team. I'm so proud of the effort. I just, you know, we got to run better than that.
You lost 4 positions in the points. You're 9th now, but moving on to Kansas, what do you think you guys will have there?
Well, we gained on some, lost on some others. It was such a, you know, it's so tight right there all the way back to 9th or 10th. So we, you know, Kansas is a great track for us. I can't wait to get there. You know, if we can run the way we ran there earlier in the year, then we'll make up a bunch of those points that we lost today.
It was a good day today for Jeff Gordon, who had his worst start of the year, but ended up 12th. Alan?
Well, Alan, back in May, Jimmy Fitting made a 2-tire call, and he put him in victory lane. Today, there was a 4-tire change in that final stop. Was that the difference?
I don't think that was the difference. I mean, when I look at the scoreboard, all them guys, I don't, you know, Carl got behind speeding or something, but all them guys outran us the last couple runs. So, you know, that's what won it in the spring, but we had a real fast car, and we just got off a little bit toward the end of the race, but we had a great pit stop. The last run, the car was back to normal, and glad we could get back up to 5th.
Another top 5 finish now with 7 to go in a chase. What's your mindset toward this championship?
My mindset is just finish the best you can. I mean, the only car and team we can control is our own, so we just go out and race hard every week. Hopefully we can keep getting some finishes. We've had really fast cars the first 3 races of the chase. I really couldn't ask for any more, but we just got to get the finishes every week and, you know, just keep clicking them off one at a time.
Okay, Matt Kenseth finishes 5th today, still 7th in the points. Dave.
Just ahead of him was the top finishing non-chase driver. That was Casey Kane. First time in the top 5 finishing here, Casey. How'd you guys do it?
Well, we had a strong Red Bull Toyota throughout the race, and at times we were the best car. You know, but at the end I got a little bit tight. Then I had a great restart, and I thought we could get to 2nd, and Jimmy just was coming down, getting into 1, so I let him go rather than wreck him, and that was kind of our race. But we ran well. The team's still fighting hard, even though there's some uncertainty with the guys. Some of the guys, the Red Bull guys, are still fighting hard and doing a really good job. Kenny Francis called a good race, and we were right there all day.
Don't count them out yet this year. They're still running fast in the 4 car. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski talking it over with his crew chief, Paul Wolfe. Brings it home 20th today. You only lost 3 spots, and you guys are still right there in the hunt. What was today like for you guys?
It's just a kick in the butt, that's for sure. Both Kurt and I had great Penske Dodges, and I want to thank everybody at Penske and Dodge for giving us fast cars. Just caught a bad break there. You know, it looks like we ran over something, and it knocked the power steering belt off the car, and you know, all these big piles of rubber, we must have hit one, and it just came up inside the car and knocked it off. And we lost a lap in that, and just couldn't get it back till right to the end, and just wasn't meant to be for us. Had a very fast car, and probably should have had a top 5 day, but I guess I didn't have the golden horseshoe today.
It was a roller coaster indeed for Brad Keselowski.
Cheer from him, Vince.
And Kevin finishes 10th today. Do you have a defining moment in this race today?
Man, we just struggled on 2 tires. You know, I think all in all, we probably had a little bit better Rheem Chevrolet than that. But every time we put 2 tires on, I'd get tight for 4 or 5 laps and then just really loose up off. So just fighting for our lives there at the end, and we're able to salvage something out of the day.
And that's what you have to do to win this chase, isn't it? Salvage?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I enjoy coming to this racetrack, but it hasn't been a particularly good racetrack for us. So to come out of here with a decent day and salvage something out of it is what we have to do.
And he did indeed. Kevin Harvick, 10th today.